Welcome back. So in front of you I have my fruit cake, which was made with pure cassava flour. I also did a sweetbread using the cassava flour. Now when using the cassava flour to make your baked items, remember that you must sift it. The little difference that I did in making this cake, I added milk. Normally you don't add milk when you're making your fruit cake. But I add milk, and the milk causes the cake to be really moist. So in a little while, we will bring out a sample for you all to be able to sample it, and I would like feedback on it. However, I know that we're talking about the cakes, but we just tasted the sahina. We tasted the potato. You all didn't get the potato? All right, well, the pie, that will come out in a little while. You all will get to taste it. But I would like to get some feedback on the item, and if there's any questions that you all would like to ask. Yes, sir.
Very, very
Well, it wasn't a question. He was more saying that the sahina was delicious. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Question?
Hi, morning.
Morning.
I missed the first few minutes of the presentation. Is there anywhere we can go and get the recipes? For
Yes, so
example,
the
you're
recipe
saying
will
that-
be online.
Okay.
We will have it online for you all.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, so let's move on. Normally, when we are making cakes, we would use food coloring to color our cakes. However, we have things like turmeric that you can use if you want to get that yellowness in your pineapple upside down cake, as well as beetroot. So your beetroot will be grinded, and you can add this when you're making your red velvet cake. So it's a natural ingredients in making your cake. We also have ruku. I don't know how many of you know about ruku, but we also use this in cooking also, like stewing our meats and whatnot, and it is good to add to your cakes. It enhances the color as well as the flavor of your cakes. So we're going to do a sampling of the fruitcake, sweetbread, and in a little while, we're going to have the sampling of it. Any questions from anyone? Now, when I was making this fruitcake, what I did, when I cream my sugar, and I cream my sugar and the butter together, you know, you always start with your dry ingredients and end with your dry ingredients. Always do that. However, I added a cup of milk to my fruitcake, and this made the fruitcake very moist. Now, the recipes and everything will be online, so you all could go online and you all will get the recipes. So you can take a little closer look so that they can see the texture of the sweetbread. And remember, this is pure cassava flour. No other flour was added to this. Yes, ma'am. So if you don't want to use milk, you can use maple syrup. And you can also use bananas to moisten it. As well as we have flaxseed. So if you want a vegan cake and you don't want to use eggs, you can use flaxseed. So you use 2 tablespoons of flaxseed, and that will be the equivalent to 1 egg. So that will help bind your product. So this is what the fruitcake looks like. It is moist and nice. So for people who have problems with eating food that has gluten in it, this is another alternative. Yes, ma'am. The sugar content. Well, you could reduce the amount of sugar that you're using, but use dates. So if you don't want to use sugar, you would blend up a cup of dates in hot water, and that you can use that for your sugar. Any other question? As well as you could incorporate your cassava flour with your sweet potato flour, because remember the sweet potato has sugar in it, and that will help with the sweetness also. They works very well. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to bring on the samples for you all to taste, and then you will give me a feedback on the samples of the cakes and the sweetbread.
Diego Martin Farmers Market. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of the Honorable Simon de Nobrega, Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, Minister and MP of Fort Diego Martin Central, Mr. Wayne Innes, Chairman of the Board of Directors of NAMDEFCO, Mr. Likwat Ali, Deputy Chairman, Ms. Namala Debbie Singh, Chief Executive Officer, and Mr. Reba Bowen, Deputy Chief Executive Officer of NAMDEFCO. And a warm welcome to everyone. Diego Martin Farmers Market, we welcome you on behalf of NAMDEFCO.
Okay, so we have a question. Go ahead, ma'am.
No, I was just asking about alternative to using either the date sugar or normal. If you could use agave or honey or anything.
Yes, you can. You can use honey to replace as well as the agave. Yes, sir.
You're giving a demonstration how to make the cassava flour?
No, we're not. No, we're not giving a demonstration on how to make the flour. What we're doing is showing you what you can do with the flour. Yes, sir.
Instead of an egg, I could use flaxseed. How would it just turn into like a liquid?
All right, so what you can do, you can blend up the flaxseed in some warm water. Because you know when the flaxseed hit the water, it gets very gluey. So you use it like that.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Okay, so in your sample box, you have the fruit cake. You also have brownie. There is a roast bake there, and the roast bake is made of cassava flour and rice flour. That is the roast bake there. The brownie is made from sweet potato flour and cassava flour. And the fruit cake, that is pure cassava flour. Now, when I was making the sweet bread, the recipe was 1 pack of the cassava flour, 1 pack of the cassava flour with 1 tablespoon of yeast. I add 2 eggs. I continue to use the fruits that you'll normally use, so like 1/2 cup of your mixed peel and of your raisins, your coconut milk, 1 cup, and I incorporated everything together using 1 cup of milk. And this caused your product to be very moist. What do you all think about the sweet bread? Okay, some of you all have tasted. Some of you all will get just now, so you'll be able to give me a feedback on it. Yes, sir.
The bake tastes well good. The bake tastes well good.
Thank you very much. Right, so the bake it is gluten-free. And all I add was 1 cup of the rice flour, 1 cup of the cassava flour. I added 4 ounces of butter. I flavored it with some pimento pepper, 1 cup of pimento pepper, 1 onion. I incorporate all those together, and then I baked it. And the thing is, it only takes about 25 minutes. So it doesn't take as long as if you're using the normal flour. It bakes really quick. Okay, so, yes, ma'am. So the brownie was sweet potato flour and cassava flour. So the sweet potato flour gave it that little sweetness also. Right, so we had to cut the recipe, which the recipe, normal recipe for the brownie would be like 1.5 cup, and we end up using 1 cup. Before we had used a little more than like a 1.25, and we found it was a little too sweet, so we're still experimenting with it. Yes, ma'am.
What is the recipe for the fruit cake?
So the recipe for the fruit cake, I use 1 pound of the cassava flour, and I use 1/2 cup of your raisins, your cherries, all the different fruits that you'll normally put into your fruit cake. I blended all of that in a cup of wine, and I incorporate everything, and then I baked it. 1 pound of the cassava flour. And that 1 pound of cassava flour will give you like about 4 9-inch pan. No, I didn't use any baking powder. I didn't. Yes. Yes, so this pack here that we have here, this pack, this is a pound. Yeah. But the recipe would definitely be online. Yes. Yes, ma'am, you wanted to ask something?
Did you blend the saltfish into the baked flour?
No, I did not. No, it's the pimento and the onion that caused that. But there's no saltfish in it. Yes, the fruit cake is pure cassava flour. Well, so you realize from using the product, some people are saying that they can't tell the difference of this product with the normal flour. So you see that you can use our root flour to make your product, and it comes out basically tasting and looking the same way that you're accustomed to. To me, it's even better. Okay, so what we'll do at this point in time, we'll take a little break, and then I'll come back. Stay tuned because we're going to have ice cream. So you'll be able to sample the ice cream that we made with the sweet potato as well as with the cassava. So don't go too far.